Hello, everyone. Okay, now audio is working. I don't know why that mute happened. Hi, welcome to Wanderer's Haven. It's a Wednesday again, and on Wednesdays, that means we are here playing in the awesome, amazing, at least from my perspective anyway, world of Ysterra, my own homebrew creation. We are here to tell a new tale, of which I'm going to get into the details of very shortly. But first, before we do that, a couple of quick shout outs. First of which is tabletopaudio.com. We love those guys. They make some awesome, amazing music, and you should check them out. They offer it for free to bring to any table, virtual or otherwise. It is amazing stuff, and they have a Patreon. You should check them out there too. Patreon people get all kinds of cool perks, and I love them, and so I support them wherever I can. Not a sponsor, but damn, I wish they were. Anyway, on to the tales. We have a couple of returning faces here. We have a face that everyone definitely loves looking at UK, and then we have a new face that we desperately hope everyone loves here at the table. And we're gonna let all of these fine people introduce themselves, because let's be honest, they're the reason that you're actually here. And we will kick things off with the the only person saving ourselves from ourselves, Deb.
Hey, I get to be the one and only now that Beth's here. I also never get to go first, so this is exciting.
I know, we got everybody in like different positions.
It's crazy. I'm Deb. Tonight I am playing Isolde Pharaoh, and she is an heiress and a magical inventor, and I'm very excited to see where this story goes.
I am as well. And continuing things right along, my bro from Texas, Ian.
Hey everybody, I'm Ian, or your boy Big on all social media. Today I'm playing, there's three ways that I've pronounced this name, but this is what we're gonna do.
Well, this is the one that you're stuck with, so.
Yep, and it's Aravan.
There you go.
Beautiful. Honestly, that's all I'm gonna say right now, because we got a lot of twists and turns I feel that are coming.
The mysterious one. I think that's fitting for Aravan, at least what little I actually know about the character. I'm just the GM here. I don't actually know a lot. Speaking of someone who does know a lot, Kay, welcome back.
I was thinking you were just going to say doesn't know a lot. So
I'm hoping you know a lot and you can actually keep this train on the rails.
I know very little about trains. It's not my hyperfixation of interest, but so my name's Kay. I'm playing Commander Drexel Vaughn. I'm just excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being here. Love having you at the table as always. And our new face that we hope we get to see more of in the future, Kozy. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us the tiniest bit about your lovely lady?
Hi everyone, I'm Kozy. I'm playing Lady Varian Cresswell, and she is a fancy noblewoman, and that's it for now.
Lovely. Thank you so much for all of that, guys. We're not going to beat around the bush. We're just going to dive right into tonight. Welcome everyone once again to the world of Ysterra. Welcome place for all explorers, all of you, where we dive into a world filled with magic that intertwines with the very fabric of its existence. A realm that is safeguarded by the divine guardians known as the Ascendant. History and legends have unfolded over the gaze of these celestial beings. Their actions and the actions of all Ysterrans echoing through the corridors of time, and our pending tale promises to add, hopefully, much, much more to that story. Today, though, we do embark on a journey that is slightly askew from our previous adventures. This narrative diverges from the familiar, casting a hopeful glance into a future of the world, where the threads of magic and the achievements of technology have forged all new possibilities. Not too far distant, mind you, from the Ysterra that we all know. The winds of change, though, have started to shape this future of this world, potentially for many generations to come. You see, today, vast ships, once thought to only navigate the inland waters of Ysterra, have now taken to the skies, sailing upon the magical lines of elemental power that permeate the entirety of the world. This has dawned a kind of new age where the dream of flying amongst the clouds has transitioned from whispered myths to a vivid reality. The Zephyr Gale is a crowning achievement of Zestram's ingenuity, and it seeks to add her grandiosity to this era of wonder. This magnificent airship, only on her third voyage, mind you, charts a course high above the clouds, ferrying a gathering of Zestram's most illustrious and influential from the stately capital of Estridge to the teeming border metropolis of Mitterzing. But let not the allure of progress blind you to the undercurrents of mystery and intrigue that swirl amidst these elite passengers, for within the confines of this skyborne vessel, a story of ambition, secrecy, and fate is about to unfold. As we depart from the Ysterra of old and sail into the skies of a new era, we must all ask, what adventures await our passengers aboard the Zephyr Gale? At the northern edge of Estridge, where the city's vibrant bustle seeks the skies, stands the Skydock, a colossal structure of awe-inspiring scale and, frankly, an architectural marvel. It rises hundreds of feet above the ground, this immense skyward citadel that serves as the heart of all air travel in this area of Zestram. It stands almost like a sentinel over the city, casting its shadow at times across significant portions of the capital. The Skydock itself sprawls a vast area into the sky, with multiple platforms jutting out like branches of a titanic tree into the air. Each of the dozen platforms hosting airships of various designs, the air around vibrating almost with the hum of energy all their own as the various crews prepare for journeys all over Zestram and beyond. The most impressive feature of the Skydock, however, is its network of lifts, feats of engineering that defy the imagination. This towering structure rising so high, powered by a combination of magic and mechanical ingenuity, seamlessly transports passengers and cargo from the lowly earthen station all the way into the skies and the waiting ships above. Standing upon the Skydock, one can't help but feel a sense of wonder. The panoramic view of Estridge below, the bustling energy of travel and commerce, and the boundless sky above create an atmosphere of adventure and possibility. Among the myriad vessels, though, your gaze is irresistibly drawn to one majestic sight. A massive vessel with crimson-colored sails brilliantly lit by Ysterra's twin suns. Stretching over 150 feet from bow to stern, the majestic form of the Zephyr Gale dwarfs all of the surrounding ships and even challenges the grandiosity of the Skydock itself. Her crimson sails, shimmering like molten rubies against the coral and azure skies, they billow gently, infused with magic to capture the powers of the elemental lines coursing through the worlds, but standing at a moment's ready to propel the ship and her crew and passengers through the very heavens. The Zephyr Gale's design is one of opulence and luxury. Her hull is adorned with intricate carvings and golden filigree that glow with the subtlest of enchantments. Every inch of her structure is crafted to perfection, showcasing the absolute pinnacle of artifice and elegance. Her crew, clad in crisp uniforms of red and white, move with a precision, a coordination that reflects the very ship's grandeur itself. It's like a well-oiled machine, all of them, ship and person alike, working in absolute perfect unison. Their calls and responses echoing across the deck in a rhythm that mirrors the seamless engineering of the Zephyr Gale herself. Stepping aboard, one is immediately enveloped in an ambiance of refined extravagance. The main deck greets passengers with polished wood panels and plush furnishings, echoing the grandeur of aristocracy set against the backdrop of the clouded skies. And moving upwards, the promenade deck offers a spacious and luxurious area where passengers can leisurely stroll and admire the vistas of the skies, surrounded by ornate balustrades and elegantly appointed sitting areas. And then once you descend into the lower decks, one finds the heart of the ship's bustle. Yet here, every detail speaks of comfort and style. Cozy nooks and communal areas designed for relaxation and socializing. The quarterdecks, often quieter and more intimate havens of tranquility, boasting lavish cabins and private lounges for the passengers' enjoyment. And the grand dining hall, located centrally among the lower decks, serves as a sort of bridge to all of these distinct worlds of the ship, bringing together passengers from all quarters for culinary delights and social exchange. Every deck of the Zephyr Gale is meticulously designed to cater to the dozens of passengers that she hosts, ensuring a journey of unparalleled comfort and wonder, espousing tradition, innovation, and luxury. And as the Zephyr Gale prepares for her skyward journey, the dock is alight with some of Zestram's most influential and powerful. More than 24 passengers, each a notable figure in their own right, gather amidst the ship's opulence, their presence a sort of microcosm of the elite of this grand nation. Among them, you might find a stern-faced military tactician from one of the Solador houses, adorned with medals, conversing quietly with a high-ranking sky marshal. Discussions undoubtedly tinged with strategic undertones, of course. And nearby, a regal figure draped in elaborate robes representing a ministrum house, accompanied by an entourage of devout followers offering silent prayers before the voyage as perhaps a different, equally noble resplendence watches them with careful attention. Cluster of merchants and artisans from the bartend houses with richly embroidered clothes, animatedly exchanging news of trade and treasures, their laughter echoing across the dockside. One in particular, perhaps, a renowned jeweler known for magical artifacts, gathering many an admiring glance. Scattered amongst these pillars of society are the less ostentatious, but equally significant scholars with eyes full of curiosity, solitary figures whose attire suggests a life of adventure beyond the borders of Zestram, and even a couple of high-born youths, their excitement for the journey barely contained. And amidst this congregation of nobility and notability, subtle glances and half-whispered conversations hint at alliances and rivalries, undercurrents of Zestram's societal fabric. And while some of them engage in polite, albeit calculated socializing, others stand aloof, their gaze taking in the assembly with keen interest. And as the final preparations for departure are made, the crew of the Zephyr Gale, in their immaculate, pristine uniforms, navigates through this sea of distinguished guests with practiced ease. They attend to the passengers' needs as the boarding process commences, ensuring that each and every individual, regardless of their stature, feels the warmth of the Zephyr Gale's famed hospitality. This gathering is not just a collection of individuals, but a representation of Zestram's power, culture, and ambition. Yet, as the Zephyr Gale begins to ready for her majestic ascent, preparing to leave the skydock behind, all distinctions of influence and authority momentarily fade into insignificance. Every passenger, regardless of their aspirations and ambitions, is united in a singular, profound moment of awe and wonder. As the sails snap vividly against the fair, calm breeze, you feel this surge of magical power, a light underfoot, crackling in the air around. You hear this faintest hum coming from nowhere, and yet everywhere. Everyone's face turns skyward, eyes wide with childlike marvel as the ship surges forward, soaring into the daylight skies of Zestram, reminding everyone aboard of the sheer grandeur and possibility that this world holds. All of you find yourselves on one of the decks or other, perhaps with others, perhaps not. Tell us, each of you please, about your character, who you are representing on this glorious voyage across the skies of Ysterra aboard this majestic ship known as the Zephyr Gale. And we'll start with you, Deb.
Isolde is, as I said, the heiress. She is here as a representative of the Pharaoh Trading Company, and her eyes are just giddy with delight as she is standing aboard one of the decks. She, if looking at her, she gives like 1940s Peggy Carter vibes. She's got brown high-waisted trousers on, like a loose white blouse, suspenders. She's got auburn hair that's curled away from her face. She does have some glasses that are perched atop of her head and some freckles sprinkled across her face. And down by her feet, there's a little mechanical whirring noise, and she has a little cat. And if you look at it, it's sort of like steampunk looking, made of gears and metal, and it follows her around as she just marvels at the ship and all of the people on board and the whole experience.
Lovely. And Ian, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about Erevan.
Yeah, so right now Erevan is also on the decks, but he's more so of keeping out of the way of conversations and just kind of people watching. He's adorned in very clean pressed like black dress clothes. Simple, something easy to move in, nothing that's giving away his position or providing anyone to like seek him out. The only thing that you would notice about his clothes or about his outer attire is that they seem to have small gold glint accents across his clothing, and definitely on his cane that he keeps with him everywhere. He is very tall and almost kind of lanky, almost as if you were to draw like an old school Disney villain. Just a tan, bald man with hazel eyes, very thin, pencil goatee going, and he's standing in the corner and he lights up a cigar and he's just watching everybody quietly, not causing any attention.
Nice. That's awesome. And moving things right along, Kay, perhaps you can tell us what the commander is up to.
Yeah, absolutely. So the commander has spent a little bit of the pre-flight kind of taking stock of the vessel. Like it's definitely very impressive, but he wants to know like exits, entrances. He wants to kind of have a layout in his mind. So he's continuing to kind of walk around, perhaps corners a young a deck sweeper and interrogates them for a while about what they know about this ship. But Commander Drexelvon, he is a tall, pretty stocky, built guy. He has blonde hair. He has a very smart kind of haircut. He has a bit of a handlebar mustache. He's in his mid 40s. He has great posture. He wears a pressed uniform in a kind of one of those that dark blue gray kind of color. It's also very pressed, steamed. He's obviously takes pride in put together appearance. He is retired commander now, but he's not going to tell anyone that we want to be called commander, right? Anyway.
Of course. And he may be a retired commander, but he still has a duty to uphold, perhaps.
Yeah.
We'll get into a little bit more of that later. And Kozy, could you by chance tell us a little bit more about your noblewoman on the deck of this ship?
So Lady Varian is over where all of the social stuff is happening, making chit-chat, small talk, where she can be seen and where she can see others, and make a good impression on people for her family, the Cresswells. She's also smiling a lot and is adorned with, beautiful jewelry and a beautiful green velvet dress, and her hair is more natural looking, and she is kind of a noble woman she's very young. She's in her early 20s, and she doesn't have her hair super done up. It's down. She has it more naturally, and she doesn't have on a lot of makeup like some of the other noble women. And she also seems, if you knew her, you would tell she is putting on a fake smile currently, and she is anxious about something.
Duly noted. As the ship ascends into the skies, there is a brief period of perhaps an hour or so where the ship is moving at a relatively light and almost casual pace. Those of you that might be familiar with airships would understand that this is a time where the navigator of the ship is testing all of the various indicators of where the power of the elemental lines across the world are currently moving most, and where any potential risks might be for things that would cause the vessel to perhaps suffer a less than calm ride, shall we say. And so these periods are often moments where the passengers and crew can safely gather above decks before reaching the cruising altitude and getting up to speed and the like. And so as people are milling about on the top deck or the promenade, crew members are moving through the crowd and throng of people with small trays that have long-stemmed, fine crystal glasses laid upon them with a sunrise nectar wine pre-poured into them. This wine is harvested from the golden dewdrop grapes of an enchanted vineyard in northern Zestram. It's an ice wine that shimmers with a soft sunrise hue and exudes a fresh, fruity aroma that, with each sip, offers a rejuvenating burst of flavor. It's a blend of sun-kissed berries and a crispness that sparks like that of a new day. It is revered for its ability to awaken the senses, and it is an opulent wine, very expensive, that is a cherished delight for morning toasts among the elite of Zestram, and it is handed out freely to all passengers as the crew moves about. And so in this moment, you have an opportunity to interact with one another, look around at perhaps some of the other vastly important people that are alight upon the decks with you, and take in some sight and wine before the ship goes to get up to speed. Would any of you like to do anything particular in this moment?
I think the commander will probably approach, try to find Erevan to kind of confer. Although I don't know if Erevan is trying to keep a low profile to the point that he wouldn't want to chat, or maybe we could sit back to back in the dining hall or something. I don't know. What are you feeling?
That's entirely up to you.
I'm asking Ian. You good for that?
Yeah, you can approach how you feel, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so the commander will find where everyone's been watching folks. He'll kind of, he'll nod to him and look away as he's like, okay, have you how does everything look? How's
You can be direct, Commander. It's perfectly fine. We're old buddies. There's nothing wrong.
Okay. It's just a lot of new people, I guess.
Yeah. You seem busy. Is everything going according to your flight plan?
So far so good. Everyone seems to be where they're supposed to be. Everyone is doing what they got to do. I'm not used to sitting on my hands,
Yeah. It's why they call it retirement.
Yeah. What age would you retire if you could?
I wouldn't.
Oh.
You know me, Commander. I live a boring lifestyle as is. Retirement would just be putting a title on what I do already.
Huh. Well, maybe it'll give you some benefits. The Silamir, right? They take care of us as much as they can.
They got me on the ship. It's a benefit to me. You seem nervous. You might want to have one of those wines that they're passing around.
Okay. And the commander will turn heel and walk directly at one of these servers.
Sorry, Commander. Should have told you this before you turned around. You might want to take a look at your brass. I think I see a smudge.
Oh gosh. And it'll start shining before. He's flustered.
You pull out one of the magical microfiber cloths that you always have in your pocket and start furiously polishing.
That gets a chuckle out of Erevan because he didn't see a smudge, but it's just funny to watch.
My characters always end up neurotic, and that's me.
Drexel has amazingly good passive insight, so I will say that he notices after he is done polishing the glint in Erevan's eye, and he knows that he's been had.
Yeah. I guess after he's been had, he just goes, why would I want to retire from this?
Can I get you one?
No, this isn't nearly as strong enough.
I'll keep my
ear
to
the ground. It is 10 o'clock in the morning, just pointing that out.
I'll keep my ear to the ground and see if I can find something harder for you by tonight.
Yeah, you can find me by the bar, as normal.
At the mention of a bar, Kay, as the commander turns and starts, now that he is more confident, I'll say, about the ongoings of the ship itself, and perhaps, confident, at least to some degree, in Erevan's assessment of the ship and crew, Drexel starts looking out amongst the other passengers, and he spots a familiar individual, half-elven gentleman by the name of Sir Gaius Thornback. He's a robust man in his early 90s. He has a well-groomed beard, piercing blue eyes. His demeanor is that of someone that is commanding and authoritative, and from your experience with him, although he is not dressed in such a way as to belie this, that he is a decorated military commander from one of the Solidar houses, and he is very well revered in most all circles for a very strategic mind, and some decades ago was solely responsible, or at least he has the credit of being solely responsible anyway, of handling several key conflicts in some very intense wartime battles against the Resnier shogunate. He has an unwavering loyalty to Zestram, to the aristocracy, to the crown, and that he is also rumored to have secret ties to various military units amongst many of the other noble houses, that he commands loyalty from people not of his own house, which is a rarity, especially amongst the Solidar, that are almost always competing with one another for such privilege. And so you see Sir Gaius standing amongst a throng of other individuals. You pick out a couple as you're fairly certain you've seen them amongst other military convention and such. So you think that most, if not all, have that kind of history. And he reaches into his coat inside pocket and pulls out what is very, very obviously a finely crafted bottle of whiskey, and starts, since all of the finely fluted glasses have been vastly emptied of the ice wine in probably one gulp for most of these seasoned individuals, he starts filling up everyone's glasses with whiskey. And because of your passive insight and passive perceptions being as insane as they are, I will say that you are also able to pick up on, he is very obviously being salubrious with these individuals, and perhaps trying a little bit more than you would have thought from a man of his stature to get them a little bit intoxicated. And there seems to be this almost camaraderie among them and an effort at, hushed talking amongst each other. Someone is very notably trying to milk the others for information here.
Oh, okay. Can I insert myself in this as trying to be as in awe? Because do I know that, does Gaius know me?
Do you think Gaius would know Drexel? I'll leave that entirely up to you. At the very least, other members of the entourage would know Drexel, even if Gaius does not know Drexel directly.
I want Gaius to not know me, and I'm happy if other of the schmoes do.
Okay,
so.
Sure. Yeah. So you move over. What do you say as you try to insert yourself into the group?
Say, the wine was a good starter, but I'm ready for the main course. And I'll
You hold an empty glass out towards Sir Thornback.
Mm-hmm. exactly.
As you hold that out, Thornback kind of eyes you up and down. He immediately registers the adornments upon your captain's jacket and
Mhm.
the rank and medals and awards and such that you have received. Doesn't even bat an eye at them, even though they are quite prestigious. And a couple of the other individuals recognize Drexel immediately, and they're like, welcoming him
Good.
like, old military friends. And as that happens, he, Sir Thornback, that is, gets a wry smile upon one corner of his face and reaches out and pours a little bit of his fine whiskey into the glass, and he says, well, these aren't the glasses that we need to be drinking this from, but any'll do at the moment.
Any port in the storm. I think that's what they say.
Something like that. You're the Sky Marshal, aren't you?
Am I the Sky Marshal? I am the Sky Marshal.
You're the Sky Marshal on board the vessel.
Sweet.
We talked
the
about that.
commander's drunk.
Yeah, already.
Am I the Sky Marshal?
Before,
Did you want to say that in character? You could have.
I guess so. I'll do that. Am I the Sky Marshal? I guess not before noon. I'm just Drexel.
Right. And Commander, what do you think of the status of our illustrious Zephyr Gale?
What's the vibe when he asks me that? What's he looking for?
Do you want to roll your insight, or do you want to use your passive?
I have a pretty good passive, but I would like to roll just
All
to
right.
see that I have.
For
I also-
reference, for those that have never played with me before or seen any of my games, I encourage people to use their passives, but I also equally encourage them to roll, but you have to decide before I'll tell you anything. It's not a scenario where you can roll and then if you roll bad, fall back on your passive.
That's 12 plus 9, so 21. I have expertise, if that means anything.
Surely,
Yeah.
absolutely. You are a mastermind of picking through the subtle hints. You have walked amongst the many circles of Zestram society and know how to read a person extremely well. And Sir Gaius Thornback is very hard to read. You almost second guess yourself for just the briefest of moments, but then you see a slight twitch amongst some of the hairs of his beard and a slight squinting of one eye, and you get the sense that he already knows the answer to the question. He's asking you to prove that you know the answer to the question. It's a test.
Oh, it's a test. Oh, jeez. Okay. Well, I've taken a look around. Everything seems to be in order. Partially why I think I can relax. The navigator seems to have it down. I've not been able to find any trouble.
And he just gets a kind of broad smile, and he reaches forward and very cautiously, because in this man's strong hands, you're very certain that if he wanted to, he could just take 3 fingers and snap this glass. He very cautiously clinks his tiny glass against yours, and he just raises it up and nods at you and downs a bit of whiskey. And you very quickly fall into this entourage of military-minded individuals that are, commiserating about old conflicts, new training, news of various Solidar houses, and all of that. And yeah, it's like old hat for Drexel at this point.
Sweet.
Is there anything else that Erevan would like to do?
Yeah. Did I notice that conversation at all? Was it too far away for me to proceed?
No. It's not like, you may not necessarily have picked out the words of what was being said, but just judging the interactions, you are equally experienced in military matters and kind of are able to pick up on, even if you don't know exactly what was going on. This was definitely a moment of Drexel kind of inserting himself into some, high-minded military social strata.
Gotcha. I don't want to do anything else particular, but I will. Aravan will move from where he was standing before, to try and pass the group, just kind of giving like a subtle glance over to the commander. But then I'll start intermingling with other people. My demeanor changes, and it's more jovial as everyone else is probably enjoying themselves too, just blending in.
All right. Go ahead and give me either. Sorry, did you have something, Kozy?
I didn't know if I should have rolled before or after, but I wanted to be overhearing that conversation because I'm also in the bar.
Well, this is all still happening up on the promenade area. This was before Aravan goes down to the bar, but you can absolutely be there. You can absolutely still be there. Like, this is there's lots of opportunity here, and I'd be all for it. Go ahead and give me a perception check.
Okay.
You can use your passive if you like, or you can roll. It's entirely up to you.
My passive is 0.
Well, I mean, what's your modifier to perception? Because your passive is always you 10 in your modifier to your perception.
Oh, it's plus 0. Sorry.
Okay, so you have a passive perception of 10 then. So you probably want to roll.
Okay. How do I roll?
Well, if you're in D&D Beyond, you should be able to just click your that plus 0 next to your perception, and it should just automatically roll the dice for you.
Awesome. 10.
Okay. Good roll. Average roll. Yeah, so I will say that you are similarly able to, just because of Lady Varian's understanding and natural knowledge of the way social interactions work, like, she's practiced at this, right? She walks among the high of this society, right? So I would say that she's able to kind of pick up on the building of camaraderie, that they're probably military folks, that they're probably just a boisterous lot, even though she can't necessarily pick up on all of the fine details of what was transpiring. She at least knows that much. So Ian, as Aravan starts moving throughout, are you looking to pick out anyone in particular, or are you just trying to get a vibe and gut check, as it were, on the people around?
Right now it's a vibe. Like, it's just pretty much surveying the area, kind of getting the mood of the majority, making my way to the bar, to kind of see what the crowd is like. I'm pretty much, like it was said before, checking where my exits are, who's a little bit too rowdy, probably don't want to stand next to that person, like, type deal.
All right, go ahead and give me an insight check, please.
Okay, come on, do anything. All right, this is taking too long. It's 24.
Nice. So, you see a bunch of people around. Most everyone is very, very prestigious, right? Like, you are just looking at people, and you are able to recognize people that you might have only seen perhaps once in your entire life, but you know them because they are wealthy, powerful, influential, like members of the high parts of society. People that you don't generally interact with, but people that you keep tabs on because of your profession, and people that you at the very least want to know about because they are among the most prominent movers and shakers of this entire society. And then you lock eyes with a woman, elegant, statuesque in her appearance, raven black hair, a regal bearing, impeccable in her dress. Her everything about this woman screams to you perfection. She has an icy composure that causes her to, even amongst a throng of people, stand out as distant from all of them, above even. You are fairly certain you recognize her as Duchess Seraphina Blackwood. She is a daughter of one of the council houses. Council houses in Zestram, in case you needed a refresher, are the 6 most powerful houses in all of the country. And this woman is most certainly one of the bloodline of that council house, a direct bloodline of the matriarch or patriarch of the house. The influence in political and social circles that she wields is not to be underestimated. And you seem to recall even that she recently came to very high prominence amongst the Blackwoods. Whispers of a familial scandal that she navigated with cunning and grace that prevented it from ever hurting the power and status of her house. And this throng of individuals that are staying in proximity to her are not talking to her. They are trying to pull off I am a few feet away from this woman, and so I am important type of position, talking amongst each other sort of deal. She is not even acknowledging their presence, and she seems almost lost in just looking at the skies, seemingly filled, although hiding it well, with a sense of wonder as she experiences this time, perhaps for the first time, maybe. One of her entourage, a man, tall, easily 6'10", 6'11", very, very pale blue skin, a perfect black suit across his very obviously athletic form. On his bald head, you see a number of what appears to be tribal tattoos emblazoned across his crown. This Goliath, short for a Goliath, tall for anyone else, leans over to her, whispering something in her ear. Her attention snaps forward, although she doesn't change position. You can see in her eyes that she listens to every word the man says. And because of your unique perceptive abilities, you're able to see the slightest hint of a smile upon her face. A shiver goes through your spine. There are machinations here. Someone, many, you are certain, are up to something.
Can I approach? Or no. I'm a retcon that.
Would Aravan approach this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as Aravan approaches this gaggle of people standing in proximity to this Duchess, what would you like to do?
I would like to get I would like for to get within earshot of her, to where I probably won't be able to get very next to her, but I'd like to gain her attention.
And in what way would Aravan do this?
He would go and he would look at her, and then he would look up where she was looking up as well, and he goes, it's interesting that the sails are painted the color the way they are. Normally you see a lot of airships with a lighter tone, but I think it's really nice. Kind of perceives indeceptible when it comes to the rising or setting sun, don't you think?
As Aravan says this, Her attention doesn't, her eyes, that is, do not move towards him. But he's aware enough to know that she heard him, a slight tilt of the head perhaps that clued him in. And she nods almost imperceptibly and simply says, "Well, yes. The suns are marvels of their own. You would want something for a ship such as this to rival that, wouldn't you?"
I don't know. I feel like the suns are something that should be respected, individual in their own.
Then you lack sight, young man.
I'll take that wisdom.
Do. And as she says that, she just has this kind of coy smile about her face, and she turns, and her legs barely move as she strides away, seemingly her dress carrying her in an almost regal fashion away from you. Her body man eyeing you up and down openly and honestly for a brief moment before falling in behind her, expressionless as he gazes upon you. The rest of the entourage, kind of, when you had been talking, had all turned like perfectly silent. Everyone was just fixated on the fact that you had that you had the gall to even speak to Seraphina. And as she moves away, they just kind of fall over themselves to come in line with her and stay in her wake as she moves off.
This is gonna be fun. And then just kind of tends to himself.
And what is
Can I
Lady
try-
Varian? Sure.
Can I try to have kind of watch their conversation as well?
I think that Lady Varian is the perfect example of someone that watches everything going on around her. And I also think that she knew instantly and recognized Seraphina Blackwood. Like, you would never mistake Seraphina. And so her presence alone would have been enough for the lady to actively ensure that anything that was going on with the Duchess was something that she was at least watching. And so you definitely saw this man, very likely beneath the station of the Duchess, approach and carry on this conversation. Dare to have that kind of chutzpah.
Am I supposed to have known Drexel or Aravan?
You certainly
Previously?
would not know Aravan. You
Okay.
might have heard of Drexel. And
Okay.
well, let me ask you this, Kozy: is this the first airship ride Lady Varian has been on, or has she been on others, even if they weren't part of the Zephyr Gale?
Yes.
Okay. If that's the case, then I think that her house would have provided her with important information about her voyage. And amongst
Okay.
that would have been a description of the appointed Sky Marshal for the Zephyr Gale, which is Drexel.
Okay.
So even if she
Okay.
doesn't know Drexel personally, having potentially never met him, which is very likely, she knows of Drexel.
Okay. And sorry, when I said yes that they'd been on airship rides before, right?
Yes, that's
Okay,
why
just wanted to
that's
make
why
sure
I thought
I
it would
knew.
be important that her house would give her that
Perfect.
kind of information.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Have I seen Isolde yet?
If you'd
Because
like.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember where Isolde was on the ship.
She was on the promenade deck, just agape and wonder at everything that was going on, right, Deb?
Yeah, she's ignoring all of the other like passengers and is just paying attention to every detail of the ship. And like if there's any crew people around, she's watching them with interest and calculation.
Her interest then would probably be almost exclusively upon the sails, because on the promenade deck, almost all of the crew that are there on the deck are the people that are there to attend to the passengers, right? So the actual crew that Isolde finds important would be the ones manning the rigging of the ship, and so she would be paying a lot of careful attention to those individuals, the sailors that are in charge of having the ship, ready and the like. And in particular, I think she would probably be focused on watching one young elven man, probably not more than 70 years of age, so very young by elven standards anyway, moving almost trapeze-like across a number of the rope riggings, himself tied in very well to the ship, across the riggings and over to the sails, which there are quite a many of in this four-masted vessel. And every now and then, like, reaching out and touching the sail, and where he touches, a magical glow alights in his hand, and she, being the practiced arcanist that she is able to see that he's almost aligning magical filaments in the sails, keeping them in perfect alignment to catch the magical elemental energies that the ship rides upon. So yes, Kozy, Lady Varian could see Isolde agape watching this and paying absolutely zero attention to all of the societal stuff taking place around.
Yeah, I think Lady Varian suspects where Isolde still is, because I was like, I'm pretty sure I recognized her, but then, I got distracted by the Gaius guy, and I noticed Drexel, and I might have a guess at who Drexel is, who they are. And then Erevan, I was kind of watching the Seraphina thing, but then I see Isolde again. And like I was gonna go see like what he was talking to her about and make a new acquaintance and then acquaint myself with Drexel. But then I see Isolde, and so I'm gonna go rush over to Isolde to say hi because Isolde hasn't noticed me, and I'm like, oh, that's so typical. So I rush over and I'm like, Isolde, is it really you?
I think Isolde would look irritated for a second at being interrupted at watching this beautiful display of sailing, and like sort of scowl and look at who it is and then recognize and say, Varian, I didn't know you would be aboard.
I didn't know you would be aboard. What are you doing here? It's been so long. How long has it been?
A year or two? It's been quite a while.
Wow. Oh my goodness. We must catch up.
Of course, yes.
Do you want to catch up now or... Oh, of course not now. You're busy. We can catch up later. I know this is probably your first time. I don't want to... I know this is very, very interesting to you. So maybe we can catch up later.
Yeah, that would be great. I would love that. To hear how things are and what you're up to here on the ship. I'm so glad that you're here. I didn't expect to know anyone aboard.
So am I. I'm so relieved to see a familiar face. Wow. And then I kind of hold back from saying some other stuff. And then, I kind of look kind of far off a little bit for a second. And then I go, okay, I'll find you later. And
Great.
then I just kind of follow Erevan.
So as you run off to find Erevan, Deb, what is Isolde's little mechanical homunculus cat named?
His name is Rebus.
So Rebus, who has been coyly moving crisscross pattern between Isolde's feet, had sat down when Varian approached, and now that Varian is moved off, just stands up on their mechanical hind legs and places their front legs as high up on Isolde's thigh as they can reach.
She will absolutely reach down and pick them up.
Yeah. So yeah, you pick Rebus up, and it is not a perfect approximation of a purr. It is the closest that you have been able to master with artifice, but there is that magical recorded audio of a purr coming from them as they kind of rub themselves, almost hurting in a way because they are made of metal, but like rubbing themselves up against your neck and chin.
She will just sort of scratch him under the chin and go back to looking up at the sails.
All right. So, as you all spend this time taking in this experience, even if you have traveled upon an airship before, the Zephyr Gale is unique in every way. Above and beyond the fact that it is the largest airship in known existence, it is one of the few, if not the only, that is capable of handling the stature and clientele of the passengers that are aboard right now. The experience is unmatched in its marvel and wonder. Those of you that are above deck, which, there's a decent number of folk that perhaps have never traveled airship before that have to move down below decks, perhaps go to their quarters, perhaps find some place that they can relieve their tumultuous stomachs, we'll say. But those of you that are above decks, as the ship rises higher into the sky and reaches its cruising altitude of several thousand feet in the air and starts to pick up its pace, a swirl of light seems to drift over the ship, just barely out of reach of the tallest person able to raise their hands up from a standing position, just barely across. There you are able to see what appears to be almost like darts of light reminiscent of shooting stars across the night sky that waft over the ship in its entirety. There are oohs and ahs from those that might be gathered, and it certainly stops conversation for anyone that bears witness to it. But very quickly, almost as quickly as it begins, it stops, and the ship reaches its cruising speed. It's a good pace, and the howling wind that occurs on the upper decks is too loud for comfortable and polite conversation anyway. Isolde, who I assume stays for all of that, is able to see that where previously all of the crew had been yelling about back and forth, communicating with one another about every possible little thing going on, you can see now that they hold their fingers up to the edges of their ear where a cuff is attached, and that seems to be what Isolde would fairly easily recognize, a communication device that allows them to kind of communicate magically with one another across the space. And how long does Isolde stay before moving down below decks?
I don't think she'll stay too long after all of the festivities. She'll have looked her fill and then kind of move her way down below to see what else there is to see.
Okay. So as each of you then moves down below decks and takes in the various other levels of this fantastical wonder of a ship, of course, you are weighted on hand and foot for anything that you could possibly want. But eventually, you do find yourselves back in your crew or in your passenger quarters. They are large, significantly larger than most anyone would hope. Although perhaps one or two of you, maybe not up to your personal standards. Regardless of the size, they are ridiculously well appointed. Mattresses almost feel air-like, and certainly those of you with an arcanist's eye are able to pick up on the magical motes of pure elemental air that are woven amongst the fabric of the mattress itself, so that you are, in fact, sleeping on air when you lay down in your bed. But what catches your eye most about the bed is not this magical wonder or softness that you are certain to fall asleep the moment you lay your head upon the pillow, but instead a red envelope, a gilded golden sigil painted on the front of it. The sigil of the captain. And as you open this beautiful envelope, you find within invitations to all of you to join the captain for dinner. You know that this is a privilege randomly extended, or at least that's the notion anyway, randomly extended to passengers aboard to dine with the captain on various nights. And you just happen to be the lucky ones that get to dine with the captain on the first night. And certainly any of you that are aware of this privilege would know that you need to dress in the absolute finest possible attire that you can muster. For any captain, especially of a ship with the authority of the Zephyr Gale, is going to be an important individual, to say the least. So tell me, please, each of you, what is it that you do to prepare for this dinner, perhaps not more than a couple of hours off from now? I'm going to call on Ian.
Oh, no. Aravan in his quarters, he kind of sits down after reading the letter, and he's kind of annoyed by it. He's like, not because it's like, not because he's invited to these things a lot. It's more so of, I'm only doing this because I have to. Okay, all right, perfect, fine. And I assume within these quarters there's like a private restroom type deal,
yes.
Correct?
Your quarters all have private lavatories.
In his lavatory, however, the sink or shower or both mechanisms are structured. He turns it up to the hottest setting on there and allows the entire room to steam. And without giving anything away, he uses that to kind of just clears his senses. And that's how he would prep himself physically and albeit more so mentally before approaching. Yeah.
I got you.
Cool.
Kozy, how does Lady Varian prepare for this pending meeting with an important person such as the captain?
So Lady Varian is very excited for the opportunity and chance to increase her family's influence and standing, and try to make her family proud of her, because right now she's representing her family, so she's trying her best to acquaint herself with as many people as she can, and make positive conversation and influence. But she knows she should be doing that, but she also wants to be doing something else. She knows she should, and she's excited for the opportunity, but she also wants to be doing other stuff with her time.
All right. I would assume that Lady Varian probably has a handmaiden and/or steward there with her. So I think perhaps you end up getting a little bit of external motivation to dress as nicely as possible, to prepare yourself. There's a lot of giddy chatter about the possibility and potentials of speaking with the captain and the like.
Yes, I forgot to say that I freshly bathed and showered and got on a new dress, but it's green still because she always likes wearing green, but it's more fancy and she's more dolled up and, you know, perfume, all of that, like really, really dolled up now.
Wonderful. Awesome. And Drexel. This is probably not the first time he has had this invitation on whatever many voyages, but certainly the chance to talk more directly with the captain is not something that the Sky Marshal would want to, slack off on.
No.
How does Drexel handle this?
I mean, I think it's definitely more expected for Drexel. It's more like, I'm the Sky Marshal. I'm part of the team, so like of course he's gonna want to talk to me. And so I have probably another uniform. I'm thinking maybe one that's a little bit that's like maybe a smoking jacket, like a dark navy smoking jacket, with and still everything's very pressed, very clean, very sharp. Zhuzh up the hair kind of deal, making sure all the metals are in place and the brass is shiny. The usual. Yeah. I don't have any secret vague things to hint at, so.
Nice. Wonderful. And Deb, could you please describe what this circumstance is like for Isolde, which is probably unique for Isolde?
It is. She is interested and a little nervous for dinner. She doesn't want to. She waits until the last possible second to change clothes because she knows that she's much less comfortable in a dress than she is in her nice roomy trousers. But she spends a little bit of time like nervously fidgeting with one of her little items that she's been tinkering with and creating, and she looks at Rebus and she talks to him a little bit, just kind of asking him how he thinks things are going to go, and then finally
to which
she's
he
like,
just
all right.
responds with meow.
Yeah. And then she finally is like, all right, I have to do this. And she's mastered like a simple like style for her hair. She pulls it back into a French twist, and then she puts on a gown, and she this is something of her own invention, and it's fairly form-fitting, but it's covered in these tiny like metallic sequins almost that reflect light in different ways, and so depending on the light it changes color. And
The
this
kind of
is
dress that ruins the internet.
yeah
Okay, perfect.
like that
That divides everyone.
But it has a bigger range than that. It's not just black and blue or white and gold. It's got, all of the kind of any, like the full color spectrum, depending on whether it's like bright sunlight or dim shadow or candlelight or things like that. And she sort of keeps adjusting it and hopes that she has gotten the like grease stains off of her hands enough, and decides to head on up to dinner.
So as Isolde finishes cleaning herself up, getting dressed and all of that, she goes and fetches the red envelope with her invitation in it, and she finds two perfect teeny tiny holes in the upper corner, perfectly spaced for a certain pair of fangs.
We've talked about this, Rebus.
There is a excited meow that comes from Rebus.
This was really fancy. It's less fancy now. You can chew on my notes all you want, but please don't get into any trouble.
There is an excited meow, exactly the same as it was before. You're still working on the variations of meows possible from Rebus, trying to get it just right, and it still needs a little more refinement, of course.
Yep.
And so yes, all of you gather yourselves up. I'll ask this just because I think it's important. Is anyone fashionably late to an event such as this? All right. So, as everyone except Aravan makes their way to the captain's quarters, it is easy enough the moment that any of the attendee crew, anyone sees you with the red envelope, you are immediately approached by one of the stewards who happily escorts you all to the captain's quarters. As you move through this section of the ship, which is normally off limits without such an invitation as what you possess, or perhaps the Sky Marshal could come back here if he wanted. But regardless, this place is a fair bit different from the rest of the Gale. Still well appointed, still perfectly taken care of. Everything is polished and gleaming in the like, but in where the rest of the ship is opulent and reeks of padded chairs and comfort, everything back here reeks of precision, of perfection in the what the crew does to keep the Zephyr Gale on course. And as you move through, everyone nods at you or salutes you with respect and attends to whatever need you might have, but with a different kind of demeanor, a precision and a care for your well-being, but perhaps one that they care more about the act of what they're doing and less about who you are and what it is that you might need. And so as you eventually find your way to the captain's quarters, there is an officer standing there who nods at you crisply, salutes Drexel, of course, and then opens the door to let you in. As you make your way inside, each of you arriving perhaps within just, a minute or so of each other, you see standing in this captain's room, split into multiple sections, a fairly large room, larger than any of yours. There's a dining area, there's a sitting area, and you could only assume behind what appears to be a ruby-colored curtain, probably a sleeping area of some kind. And standing amongst all of this finery that is this room, with its immaculately polished table, a chandelier that kind of harkens back to an older era of the aristocracy, you see Captain Revelyn Harrow, a dignified woman in her early 60s, you would guess, neatly pinned back, silver hair, keen, meticulously observant eyes. She has a commanding presence, yet when you gaze upon her, you almost can feel a welcome in her, the way she stands, the way she looks at you, the way she carries herself. She feels approachable to any and all of you. And you can tell fairly clearly that she has the authority that a captain demands. Standing in her pristine red and white uniform, much more well adorned than perhaps any of the other crew members that you have seen. She looks at you as you make your way in. She offers a wide smile of greeting. She, moves up to shake a hand or bow or curtsy to whoever makes their way in. You can see that she herself is not wearing a dress. She is wearing perfectly pressed trousers with, her military-esque style formal uniform on, the kind that have tails that hang off of the back and perhaps are a little bit short up in the front, too short to actually be comfortable. She, greets each of you warmly, gestures to some nearby wine to partake in. And so as the three of you arrive, there is a few minutes of small talk and such that occur. She goes through the process of explaining how these captain's dinners are one of her highlights. She stands firm to the notion that no one is chosen because of their status or their privilege, and that everyone on board has an equal right to join her at the table for a meal and a conversation. And there it is.
Had to make it a show, everybody.
I had to make it a show. And so you have this nice conversation with the captain before the final guests arrive. And I did say plural because Ian, as Aravan, is finally making his way to the captain's quarters. Joining him in one of the hallways leading in that direction, you of course are being led by one of the stewards, a man falls in beside a distinguished man in his probably late 60s perhaps, salt and pepper hair, a neatly trimmed beard. He is fairly strong even despite his age. You recognize quite clearly an individual that has done well in his elder years to assure his health and status, and his stature speaks of someone that walks with authority. Just in the echoes of his footfalls, you can feel a care in what he does. He has deep-set, very discerning eyes, and much like yourself, you recognize a man that misses nothing that it goes on around him. His posture is impeccable. He exudes this authority, and he wears, in this case, although perhaps this is not something he wears all of the time, you see a finely tailored suit, but instead of trousers, a gown flows out around him. He has subtle tastes. The cloth is fine and expensive. There is just the slightest variation of color amongst the various pleats of the gown and the seams of the jacket that accompanies it. There's a detail there that Aravan respects, if anything, because he knows he would have a hard time replicating it should he have to. And this calm, measured man simply folds in beside Aravan, walking down the hall, still facing the front, barely acknowledging Aravan's presence, as it's obvious that the two of you are headed to the same destination.
I think in this moment that Aravan would like to say something, but in a moment of game recognizes game type deal, just gives a respectful nod and continues forward, keeping in stride with this person though, kind of giving them notice of, I got it too. So
That's fair.
Yeah.
Fair. So as the three of you really, if you include the steward, make your way through the couple of halls that lead to the captain's quarters, the steward knocks and then opens the door and steps aside. And there is a pause as the gentleman that is walking with you kind of tilts his head to see what you do.
By all means, please.
There's a smile upon his face, and he just nods in recognition. And do me a favor and roll an insight check.
Absolutely.
Remember, you can always use your passive if you like.
Yeah, my passive insight's 15. Let's go with that.
Okay. You're fairly certain that was a test. You're not sure if you passed or not. As he moves past you and walks into the room, the rest of you already inside, glasses of wine in hand, the door opens and in walks this man that I had just finished describing. Kozy, I need for you to please make a wisdom or a charisma saving throw, whichever is better for Lady Varian.
Also, if I could, Miko, when Erevan walks into the room, I think Commander Drexel would have like a kind of like a shocked or a surprised look, because one of the reasons why Erevan was late is because he did take the time to put on his Class A's, which is a little bit different than what the Commander's is. It is still adorned in very dark colors. There's not a lot of brandishing of brass, so. But yeah,
I got you. What'd you get there, Kozy?
Repair.
17.
Okay, 17 is enough for Varian to keep her composure, because I think you would want to in this instance, as Lady Varian sees Gideon Fairborn walk into the room. Gideon Fairborn is the chair advisor to the Imperial Council, the council of 6 individuals that are literally the most prominent, influential, and powerful people, even barring the crown. This man is their counselor. And he steps into the room. He has a commanding presence about him, as was described before. He carries within him his station wherever he goes. And just being in the same room as him would cause most people that know who he is to get a nosebleed. But Lady Varian keeps her composure.
A horny nosebleed? Like anime? Or
No.
okay.
a little bit of both.
Thanks, Kay. I'm glad someone went there, sure. I mean, maybe, who knows? It all depends. I'm not going to kink shame. Whatever your boat is, maybe you're attracted to power.
My girl, so Varian, she takes like a deep gulp, but tries to like stand up straighter and like tries to maintain composure.
Yeah. Like, she knows this man and his authority. He himself has shaped decades of policy in Zestram. He has been responsible for treaties that have eluded most people's observation, but have ensured that Zestram is still wealthy and strong in every respect. Every member of the council recognizes this man for his for everything that he brings to them: advice and counsel and privilege and influence and understanding and knowledge. There is no one in any royal or noble esteem that does not hold this man in the highest of regards. And as he steps into the room, Drexel, being that you have such a high passive insight, there is the briefest of moments where you see the captain kind of gulp before getting her composure back.
That's not a good sign.
and she greets Gideon Fairborn with the absolute utmost respect and esteem. He, of course, accepts all of that. He greets each of you with a simple nod and a gesture and a smile before Erevan makes his way into the room a moment later behind. Would any of you do anything in particular in this moment?
I just want to know why we're here. Or, I guess we know why we're here. We're having dinner.
So, very quickly after Gideon's arrival in particular, that seems to be what the captain was waiting for at the most. You all are, of course, gestured to take your seats. The table, of course, is very well appointed, and as I previously described, a extremely well polished, some kind of oak or something similar, has red and white cloth draped over sections of it, not in its entirety because that would be insulting to the crafter of the table. The captain sits at one end of the table with Gideon sitting at the other, and dinner proceeds. Dinner is a 5-course, fanciful, almost ritual, in a way, experience. Something that probably Lady Varian is accustomed to, but the rest of you maybe not. The wine is a brilliantly expensive wine that is made from grapes that were picked during a shower of falling stars, making it one of the rarest possible things to ever exist. The first course is a soup known as a Whispering Winds consommé that is made from blends of herbs and broth that is only harvested during the gentlest breezes at dawn. There is the hint of elemental air that creates this almost mesmerizing swirl effect in the soup that is quickly followed by an appetizer, a lovingly called Crimson Sails Carpaccio, which is thin slices of ice hawk breast sashimi that is seasoned with exotic spices from some unknown land that none of you would have the chance of recognizing, and drizzled with a reduction of starfruit garnished with the tiniest cut of a golden fig, followed by the main course of enchanted ember roast, a slow-cooked, tender-cut etherboar known for amazingly rich flavor, glazed with a sauce made from ember berries and fire bloom petals that give everything this smoky essence and cause the meat to alight with veins of almost fire-like lumination, accompanied by root vegetables that are slow roasted within elemental earth infused soil, a palate cleanser of a simple salad of moonlit grove greens featuring nightshade lettuce and lunar herbs that are picked only during a full lunaran moon, tossed with a light vinaigrette made from oil pressed from the seeds of twilight olives, and then finally a dessert, a arcane delight, a magical dessert made exclusively of arcane energies that resonates, each spoonful ranging from the sweetness of a sun-ripened berry to the tang of wild citrus, all of which ending with a rich, comforting dark chocolate and enchanted vanilla taste as you consume the last spoonful of your dessert. This entire experience, moments of conversation take place amongst all of you, those of you that are able to speak amongst such a fine meal. You find that the captain and Gideon Fairborn have extensive conversation with one another about the future of airship travel and when such a trip as this might be experienced by, people perhaps of lesser status than himself or any of you fine folk at the table with. The entire experience goes on for an indeterminate amount of time before drinks are served. After meal beverages of fine alcohols, wine if you like, water if you prefer. It's entirely dealer's choice, so to speak, in this moment. But as all of the conversation in and around the meal takes place and you settle into a few moments of just spending some time with the captain and with Gideon, there is a pause, and you can see Gideon kind of tilting his head to the side. Those of you with a magical flair would know that he has very likely just received a magical missive. And in that moment, as I'm sorry, Kay, did you have something? You look like you wanted to interrupt.
Yeah, my ring. I guess if he received a message, I don't know. It's fine. We're good.
Yeah.
I'm
ring...
sorry. No, I'm sorry. We are not gonna pass that entire description of a menu without giving you your flowers now. Wow.
Thank you.
Okay. That's damn. That my heart. Okay, I'm done.
Just wait till breakfast. So, yeah, yes, Drexel, you as well, your ring alights and you know that he just received a sending.
Okay.
That it, illuminates softly, and you fairly recognize such a spell as that. It's commonplace for you and your high status and anyone that would be around you. And certainly a man of Gideon's flair, you are probably surprised that that's the only one he's received in the hours that you have spent with him, right? And so, yeah, he receives a sending missive. He tilts his head to the side. There's the briefest hint of understanding in his eyes and kind of like moving them around as he contemplates the response that he sends magically in his head. And a broad smile comes across Gideon's face as he stands. And he says, "If you will pardon me, everyone, I must excuse myself. I shall return shortly and enjoy your company and the beverages, but there is an urgent matter of state that needs tending to." And he politely excuses himself and exits the room. As he exits the room, if not from each of you or any of you, the captain notably exhales in relief, almost as if like her uniform had been entirely too tight in the presence of Gideon. And there's a distinct lowering of her shoulders, a relaxation, if you will, in this moment as she takes a very long drink of some deep brown colored alcohol that has been poured in her fine tumbler. What would the rest of you like to do?
Lady Varian thanks the captain for the meal and the invitation. I wanted to say that earlier. And like curtsies or, kind of nods. Thank you for the meal. And kept watching Gideon a lot and kept trying to like join in the conversation, but then chickening out the whole time.
Nice.
I was just curious, or I just wanted to double check. Folks in this room right now who are named, there are us, Captain Gideon was here. Was Seraphina or Gaius here?
No, it was just the five of you as guests. Other people moved in and out of the room, but they were all stewards and attendees and officers that, like, the first officer probably made an appearance at one point during the dinner just to hand a note to the captain before politely excusing himself. Nothing urgent or anything like that, just wanting to inform the captain of something. Stewards coming in, taking care of the meals and serving you beverages and refilling drinks, taking away plates and the like. But as far as passengers go, it's only been the 5 of you.
Would Isolde have known about the captain based on her interest in airships?
I would think so. I think so. I would give you that. You would know, Isolde would know that Captain Harrow is not just the first female airship captain to have ever been. She's the first airship captain to have ever been. In the slightly more than a decade of time that airships have come into fruition in the world, she is probably the most respected individual to pilot, not just because of the years of experience and certainly her pioneering spirit, we'll call it, in doing this, because before she piloted, or she was the captain of an airship, she would have been like a riverboat captain or something, right? Certainly not the kind of risk that comes with an airship. And you probably heard a story of her like taking her crew on an airship into a storm, and certain disaster would have befallen anyone else, but her leadership and prowess was able to like navigate the storm and get her and her crew and her ship to safety. Like you would probably have, well, I mean, I'll leave it to you whether Isolde would have a fangirl moment at realizing that Harrow.
100%.
Okay.
Yes. She full on has a poster of Harrow in her workshop. So as soon as it's like even remotely socially acceptable after Gideon leaves, she will start launching into questions about the captain's transition from riverboats to airships, and just like all of the minutia of airships, and just be sort of really obnoxious.
Nice. Harrow takes it very, very well. Like she doesn't, you know how some people, they say never meet your idols, right? That's very much not the experience that Isolde has with Captain Harrow. This is a woman who plays down some of the kind of elevatory speech that Isolde has, and plays up the stalwartness of her crew, and everyone on board the airship learns by doing and leads by example, and no one comes to the skies without that drive and desire to do something that no one else in the world can do, right? It's an elite position to have, even just being a quote-unquote common crew person on board a ship such as this carries with it threats and dangers beyond anyone else's ken, and it's an experience, and you can tell very clearly that she lives this life fully. She wants to be here, and for whatever reasons that might be in her, there is a hint of awe and wonder that kind of drives her motivation as captain. What about Erevan? Has anything gone on in particular for Erevan during this entire lustrous meal, the like of which he has probably never had before? You're muted.
Yeah, bro, just taking in the fact that the meal was as good as it was. I guess more so a question for Kay. Would you, based on our history, would Erevan know about your ring?
Oh, about my yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So in that moment, I think you would kind of, because I would assume that they would be sitting next to each other, or at least close to each other. You'd lean over and go, Gideon seemed to leave in a rush. Think it was something important?
He got with the ring. Can I determine if it's ascending versus message?
You know it was ascending.
It was ascending
Because
so,
the power
yeah.
level is very different, right? The luminosity by which the ring glows is determined by the level of the spell that has occurred in its presence.
Okay.
So a cantrip versus a third level spell, yeah, you know the difference.
Big difference. He seemed to get a message, or specifically ascending, from someone. So I'm guessing not on the ship. Probably, as he said, he say
The
something
captain's quarters are positioned on the ship that anyone using the message spell would be able to get a message to the captain.
to the captain.
It wouldn't matter where they're at on the ship. If a message spell was used, the captain would always be in range of it.
Yeah. So it seems to be off ship. So we're probably fine.
Probably fine.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah.
Everyone here has something they're after. I will very much Varian. Isolde just seems to be excited to be here. So
Isolde's kind of the kid in the candy store at this moment.
yeah.
And what do you think that... I mean, this is obviously... I'm curious is all. Something that would whisk them away as quickly as it did. And I'm actually surprised that you're not equally as curious. You seem a bit off. You feeling all right?
It's retirement hasn't sat well. I miss Marth. You remember my brother. But I don't know. Well, do you think you can sneak off and find out what's going on?
Do you think... Yeah, kid... Commander, come on. I was just waiting for you to suggest it.
Make me think I came up with it. I see. Okay.
You
I'll
did.
see you in a bit.
You just told me.
Wait, can I interrupt them before they leave?
Well, I was just going to say, as they're having this conversation, Kozy or
okay.
Deb, would either of you like to do anything in this moment?
Isolde absolutely would not have noticed any of that conversation.
Would Isolde notice Rebus, like, at slinking over to the captain's, the drapery that covers the captain's, like, sleeping quarters, trying to perhaps sneak their way beyond the curtain's edge?
I don't think so. Not in this moment.
Perfect. Kozy, what would you like?
I wanted a chance sometime to talk and not necessarily interrupt them, but before Aravan leaves, I wanted to, like, I've never made your acquaintances before, and introduce myself and now okay, yeah, can I do that?
Yes,
Before
please.
you guys stop? Okay. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I've never made your acquaintance before, and I just wanted to introduce myself and say that I'm so excited to meet all of you and be here and invited to this very special dinner just for us. I just wonder why we were all invited.
It kind of like taken out of the conversation and turned over, not in a rude way, but more so of like, oh, hi. I'm sorry. I'm Aravan. This is Commander Drexel, and
Pleased to meet you. Oh, I'm so sorry. I always forget this part. I'm Lady Varian Cresswell. It's so nice to make your acquaintances.
Nice to
Cresswell
meet you.
name rings a bell, Miko.
Minor house.
Got it.
You probably don't know Lady Avarian specifically, but you would at least... Everyone knows the names of the houses, even if they're not overly familiar with the intricacies of them. So, yeah, it would be commonplace for you to know the Cresswells are a minor bar 10, so a mercantile house, potentially trying to move up in societal rank.
But please call me Varian. And Drexel, I've heard of you. Marshall, right?
Yes, I am Sky Marshal for the flight. Everything seems to be going well, so please don't be worried if this is your first time flying.
Oh, I'm not worried at all. I believe in your capacities and capabilities. I'm not worried in the slightest.
Well, I am glad to hear that, ma'am. Are you having a good time on the ship so far? And I'll look over to Aravan if he wants to slink off. Like
Yeah.
I can handle this.
I do apologize, Lady Varian, but a meal such as rich as this doesn't work with my system. I need to excuse myself. I apologize.
Oh, never you mind. Please, no problem.
As soon as you
Perfect.
say the words "no problem," the door of the room flies open. Bursting into the room, you see a fairly well-appointed man in his early 40s, very stern visage, close-cropped hair, fairly imposing physique, a officer of the crew, the same kind of uniform that the captain is wearing, but this one perhaps not the formal uniform that the captain is wearing at this moment. The security officer of the ship, Drexel would know this individual, Declan Lawson. He is a strict and vigilant man of extremely high standard, very no-nonsense sort of individual. You notice from his face immediately that whatever matter is occurring is of the absolute utmost importance, and he looks almost pale as he flings the door open. He locks eyes instantly with the captain, seemingly not even recognizing the fact that the rest of you are even present in the room. He locks eyes with the captain, and his hand almost shakes as he holds up a small folded piece of paper, almost identical to what the first officer had brought in early in during the meal before, the idle note that had been given to the captain. It's the exact same kind of paper as that. As he holds it forward, the captain walks over to him, an immediate note of concern upon her face as well, recognizing in her security officer the urgency of the situation. She snatches the note and flips it up, and she staggers a half step. Her face blanches, losing virtually all color, and she turns and looks at the rest of you and says, "No one move. You are confined to this quarters until I return. Gideon Fairborn is dead." And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we're going to take our break. We shall be returning very, very shortly. Just a few minutes as we can possibly muster to give us an opportunity to get up, stretch our legs, refresh ourselves, get some water. I encourage all of you to very much do the same. We will be right back. Bye for now. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our esteemed adventures taking place in the skies over Zestram. We are coming back at a time of perhaps great intrigue, we'll call it, as our illustrious companions, after having participated in one of the most luxurious meals of their existence, have returned, or have just discovered, that the most illustrious individual aboard the ship, the highest counselor the highest advisor to the Imperial Council of Zestram's society, has been slain. They do not yet know the circumstances. They do not yet know any details really at all, other than he is dead, as the captain has commanded them to remain here. As the security officer escorts the captain out of the quarters, there is a very notable slamming of the captain's door behind them, and you hear a distinct click of a lock, indicating just how confined you really are in this room. As confined as you are, there is still a great amount of alcohol left in the room, should that be what you use in these moments to defrazzle any potential frazzled nerves, and perhaps a few little tidbits of some of the meal has remained, if that's your take as well. But here are the four of you stand in these immediate moments as the door clicks shut.
Yeah, so
Just continue.
yeah, okay. So yeah, I will I'll get the little mage hand to start writing in a little book, and Varian, hopefully, are you okay?
And by little book, let's just make sure we define this here. This book is actually like the size of an encyclopedia.
Okay, fine. Lady Varian.
She'll be fine. She gets like this. She just give her a couple seconds.
Breathing
Varian,
like that
here's
is gonna make
water.
her lightheaded.
No. I know her. We grew up together. She'll be fine. Just here's some water. Keep breathing.
Thank you.
Okay, Captain. Like I said before,
Grace is
is
averted.
this? I love it already. Hey, Captain, is this really all necessary? Like, all of our whereabouts have been accounted for. Do we really need to be locked in this room?
The captain is gone. It's literally just
Oh,
the four of
jeez.
you present.
Oh, it's just damn.
I mean, I trust Isolde, and I kind of trust you guys.
I mean, you kind of.
We didn't murder anybody, right?
Murder?
Wait. He didn't get murdered?
Oh yeah, he did. Never mind.
Oh
Like,
my
there's just something about
goodness.
murder. I completely forgot.
Commander,
I
come
just
on. Are you?
assumed. I just assumed the worst. I get a little anxious. Isolde, what would you do if you were in this situation? Oh, we are.
Yeah, we are. You just yeah. Take a breath. There's nothing we can do at this moment. We're just here. The captain told us to stay here. So I don't know.
I'm not staying in here. I'd like to go to the door that's locked, and I would like to. So, Aravan looking at everybody with this kind of. Oh, okay, cool, perfect. He reaches into his coat and he takes out his thieves' tools.
You don't need
It's
to
like
do
a
that. The lock is the latch. It's openable from the inside.
Oh, I thought we were locked on it. Okay, no, I unlock the door and I walk out of the room.
So you unlock the door, and the moment that you open the door, you can see that there are two officers standing at the edges of the door that had been there listening for any potential unlocking and opening of the door, and they have immediately turned to face you as you have the door open just maybe 8 inches as you see the two of them standing there. They are stern-faced individuals staring at you, and one of them simply says, "Please, sir, the captain said you must remain," and he has grabbed onto the handle.
Oh my goodness.
Gentlemen, this is completely unnecessary in this moment. Obviously, our whereabouts have been accounted for. We are not the ones that should be held captive. I would simply like to just have us go back to our room. As you can see, the lady here is having a very uncomfortable time, and I
The
don't
door
think an
opens
enclosure would be
slightly
the
and
best.
looks in and sees Lady Varian. There is like no recognition of anything in their face as they look back at you and say, "Captain's orders," and they slam the door shut, and you hear the lock snap again.
I'd like to unlock the door again and slowly open it and go, please.
As you slowly
Your
open it,
understanding.
the man lowers. Oh no, you're a tall fellow, so yeah, he actually,
Yeah.
he's looking up at you at this point, kind of locked eyes with you, and he says, "Sir, Captain's orders. No one,
I understand.
no one can
No one.
change Captain's orders." And there is an implied threat there that at this point you might be pressing your luck into a physical attempt at restraint as he
Perfect.
pulls the door shut once again.
Oh, jeez.
And you hear a
I'd like.
click.
Okay. Give me a moment. You all discuss amongst yourselves. I'm gonna figure something out.
Comedy's in
think-
threes, but I don't know. I like.
I think we should have a little sidebar, just us, before you open the door again, Aravan.
Yeah.
I think can we stick together? Because I don't know who else I can trust, because he is dead when he went out there, and maybe in here. I don't know. Poison? How did he die?
There's.
Are you worried about getting murdered next?
At this point, I don't know what to expect. Honestly, we could all die at this point.
I mean, I think that's true every day, but yeah, I wouldn't jump quite there yet.
What if someone's out to get anyone?
I will stick next to you for as
Okay.
long as
I think
you
that's
need me.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know Sir Aravan or General Drexel, Marshal Drexel. So I think we should all stay together, and it improves our chances, and we should investigate ourselves, maybe, and see if there's anything out of the order here, and then maybe come up with a plan.
Uh,
I don't want to be alone, honestly.
There's okay, above table. Miko, you said there were stewards that were coming in and out of the room the entire dinner. Were they all coming out of the door that is locked?
Yes.
See, that doesn't. I'd like to make, or you could tell me what check you would like. There's no way that that's the only entry or exit, or at least I feel like there isn't. I'd like to look to see if there's any other way to get out of here.
I'll
Go
help.
ahead and go ahead and roll an investigation check for me.
Can I guide his investigation check? If I just lean over and, doesn't even realize I'm...
No,
His perception.
Can I do it with subtle?
it's 24. It's 24 for investigation.
Yeah, I mean, this is
Oh.
an extra role-playing thing, though, so I think it's important to resolve this. Go ahead and give me we'll call it a performance check in this case, because of the verbal component to it. And you need to beat his passive perception.
So I know that I can do guidance by touch, right?
Yeah.
And then the
yeah.
subtlety. Okay.
Do you have the subtle spell metamagic feat?
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna. So
I'm trying
yes.
to hide that I'm guiding. Yeah.
Sure. Yes. So you can.
Okay.
Yes, you can spend the sorcery point to activate the
Okay.
subtle spell. Let's still do the performance check versus his
Okay.
insight, though.
Okay.
Not necessarily to find out that you were the source of it, but to see if he feels it or if he just feels his own ego.
Okay. $12.
I feel it.
Well,
It's a
what's
15.
your passive insight?
15.
Okay. Yeah, so you feel magic swirl into you. You can't be certain that Varian is the source of it, but her hand is on your shoulder. Go ahead and roll your d4. And Drexel, you know that, yeah, the cantrip was cast.
Additional 3 on my investigation, so it's a total of 27.
Okay. Yeah, you feel
Can I like
this...
try?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Can I like just like I'm really good at investigation. Let me help as I like try to lean into.
And Aravid like looks at her and goes, "You just had a panic attack. Like, what do you-"
I want to be
Sure.
helpful and useful. Let me try.
Yeah, no, thank you. Oh, okay.
So yes, you do in fact see towards the back of the chambers. So at the back of the chambers, there is several glass windows that overlook the aft deck of the ship. The captain's quarters are not on the topmost tower deck, but like 1 or 2 levels down from that. And so as you kind of are looking out over the back deck of the ship, which is a decent size and distance, you can see people kind of milling about and taking in the sight, the evening air, so to speak. And you're like, surely it must be one of these windows that you open to get out. It has to be. And you're kind of looking up at the edges of the wall at the top of them, looking for any possible like hinges or extra adornment that would indicate which one opens out towards the aft. And you look up and you see a out of place seam in the woodwork above, and you follow it until you reach in the center of the room. There is a very, very, very thin square seam that is just too perfect, too purposefully arranged to be almost imperceptible, and you're fairly certain that there is a hatch that will lead into the level above. Now, you don't know what's in that level above, but you're fairly certain if you grabbed one of the chairs or perhaps got a boost from Drexel, you'd be able to open that hatch.
Okay. All right. So, Commander, looks like that's going to be our way out, pointing to the little hatch. I don't know where it's going to take us, but it'll take us out of here. Here are our options.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. We could do that. I could knock out the 2 in the front and we could walk out the front door. Or we could sit here.
What's your plan after that?
My plan right now is to get out of this room.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then create-
And then what?
create the plan and then create a plan after.
Oh,
leaving
on
this
the
room.
go. That always goes well.
Well, what's your plan?
I don't have one. I don't pretend to have one yet.
Me neither.
Be great
We
to
should
talk about
make
it
one.
first.
Okay.
Everyone, this is my childhood best friend, Isolde.
Can I do an inside check on Lady Varian? Because at
Sure.
this point, I feel like she's messing with us.
Roll insight.
Yeah. Let's. Nope. That's an 8 altogether.
Is Varian being deceptive in this moment about anything?
No, she just wants to introduce her and start telling everyone how smart she is, and we should listen to her.
I think the vibe was more about, is she actually as scared as she's letting on?
Yeah, that was the vibe.
Oh, is she actually Oh, yeah, she is very scared.
Okay.
Because people don't get murdered often around her. She hasn't experienced any seen any battles or or been around any sketchy people. Usually she has like people to protect her family, right?
She's a
Has people for
civilian.
that.
Varian has people for that. But I'm still scared and nervous, but like she wants to like help be useful and try to not faint and not.
Sure. We
Yes.
can
I-
talk it out.
I mean, are you just gonna go back to your room? Are you gonna try to figure out what happened? Are you gonna even that, knowing that would be nice.
What? Why does it matter? My plan is to get out of the room.
Why does that? Why?
Why do I want to get out of the room?
Yeah.
Because somebody has locked me in here.
Oh,
and I
so
don't
you
like
just
that.
don't want to do what other people say.
You like getting locked in rooms? Like I don't.
I mean, not particularly, but this
Okay,
seems to be an
I-
extenuating circumstance. So
It's really not.
All right, everyone, we're gonna
People-
follow the chain of command, and I've had enough. You're gonna sit here, you're gonna chill out, and I don't know very much about you, ma'am Isolde, but it's great to meet you, I think. I wish I was under better circumstances.
yeah, likewise.
Fine.
Back to your comment
wait.
though, do people get murdered around you a lot? Like what? This is not an extenuating circumstance for you?
I mean, is this your first day out into the world? Okay.
I mean, yeah, these things happen, but like this is a nice ship.
Yeah, it is.
Generally, murders don't happen on a ship this nice.
It doesn't
Usually
matter
you
what
have a
the
nice
gender-
flight and it's great and you get to your destination, everyone's alive, we all embark and go our separate ways.
Well, that didn't happen.
Yeah,
Somebody is dead, and a
Right.
very important somebody is dead too. Like that should be.
clearly. It's a problem. Are you going to do something about it? That's my question. What's the plan?
Well, it doesn't matter what the plan or what I'm gonna do is if we're locked in this room. I'd like to get out of the room.
Great. Be my guest.
May I just chime in here for a quick moment? So I don't think we are necessarily going to embark and go on our separate ways now after this. So I think we should listen to what everyone wants to do and come up with the best plan. And I would like to know if Isolde has a plan. She is very smart, and I think if we all group together and come up with a plan, then stick together, none of us will die, and maybe no one else will die. And never mind.
Yeah, go sit down.
Yeah, never mind. Nothing else. I think that, yeah.
I don't have a plan. What we do know, I'm happy to get out of this room, but you know, I happen to really like Captain Harrow. She's a personal hero of mine, so doing something that's against her orders is, I have to have a real good reason for doing that. If you come up with a really good reason other than I don't like being locked in a room, great, let's go.
Okay.
Are you
how about
sure you
this?
don't have a plan?
I mean, here's what we know. We know that it wasn't one of us. And so, I mean, I would hope not, at least, unless you had some sneaky ways. I don't think it was you, based on how things are going for you.
Do I look like I could pull that off?
No, sweetie, no, you don't.
I know.
But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we can help figure out what happened. And if something's, I shouldn't go there. If something's gonna happen again, strike that from your memory. Varian, nothing else is gonna happen. It'll be fine. We'll all be fine. We'll get to our destination safely. It'll be great.
None of us are as important as
That's very true.
yeah. So like, if someone was targeting him specifically, probably not going to target us. So
there's
Okay.
your reasoning. Wouldn't it be so impressive to find that somebody that looks up to you has figured out a problem on your ship? You'd be the apple of the captain's eye with your intrigue and intelligence.
Yeah, Izzy. I think we need to get in her good graces and help her out. She seemed really, really anxious. Almost more anxious than me, even.
Aravan just said the one thing that could possibly convince Isolde.
That silver tongue.
I mean, that would be great. If she just, remembered my name. And that would be awesome. Okay. Let's get out of the room.
Let's get out of the room. Beautiful.
Meanwhile, the
back to
commander
our-
is sitting off on the side, just like holding his hands up. Yeah, face palming Picard style here. Is Drexel gonna do anything? As now Aravan has got an extra person to rebel with.
I mean, head upstairs. You already know what's outside these doors. Might as well go check out the secret exit, right?
Yeah, I think
Give me a boost.
I'll stay here with Lady Varian if she would like to not be involved in breaking and entering.
We're exiting.
Yeah, breaking and exiting. And Aravan, you'll get my bardic inspiration because, I totally have trust that you can do this. It's a legendary inspiration, so when you roll your die, you can roll 2 dice and take the higher of the 2. It is a d6, so.
But I think we should all go together because I'm pretty sure that not any of us are murderers. I don't think any of us. So I think we're the only ones we can trust, maybe?
Aravan, roll a deception check. I'm just kidding.
I was like, sure.
I'm just kidding. So, I have to ask, as a flock, are you all attempting to exit out of this ceiling hatch that is available to you?
Yep.
All right. Aravan, with a hoist from Drexel, you very quickly, after a little bit of investigation, are able to find the small notch of wood that you just press your thumb into, and you hear a click, and the hatch pops just ever so slightly, enough for you to get your fingers in, and you're able to pull it down. The moment you pull it down, you tell Drexel to drop you, because you can see a sliding ladder starting to come out, almost smacking you in the face, but you're too adroit to have something like that, silly like that happen. And you pull the hatch down all the way, and as it goes to its full 90 degrees, the ladder itself lowers down fully. You see a dark room above you. Drexel, your perception, though, is high enough that you are able to hear the muffled sounds of people talking in probably an adjacent room to whatever this dark room above you is. And there is an urgency in their tone. And I will say, because of your military experience, you would recognize members of the crew that are communicating with each other, very possibly leading into what you would anticipate to be the main bridge of the ship.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely hiss at everyone to stay quiet. And motion like who wants to go first? I'll pick up the rear or whatever that phrase is.
I'll go first.
All right. So Ian, as Aravan makes his way up the ladder, once he's in that room, he also hears what Drexel had heard before, and he can see. He has dark vision, right?
I do. Yep.
With your dark vision, you're able to kind of scan the room. You are in a small room, not more than like 8 feet across and only about 5 feet wide. Deep rather, that appears to be like a storage room. There are a number of crates and such in the room, and there is a single door with light pulling in from underneath.
I'm gonna go over to that door where the light's coming from, and if there's a way that I can like see through the cracks to see what's under it, or maybe just press my ear against it to see if I can discern maybe what's going on.
Looking through the seam underneath, you aren't really able to pick out much other than you see what appears to be people moving, feet and the like, shadows of just the faintest glint in the sort. Listening, you hear what appears to be the sounds of people calmly but forcefully communicating with one another. Phrases that you would anticipate would be the kinds of things that the crew tells one another in regards to the proper running and maintaining the movement of the ship.
Okay. I kind of... Is everybody up here with me now? Or
I'd say it's
am I
just
still
you
waiting
for now.
Okay.
Do you want to wave anybody up, or do you want to go back down?
I'm not going to go back down. I'm kind of do the thing over the edge and just kind of look and go, so there's another room over there. It's a lot of crew members. It looks like everybody's in a rush, but they're doing what they need to maintain the ship. I think, Commander, you should be the one to pop down on them, being that you are the Sky Marshal. And then use your position of, I'm supposed to be knowing what's going on with the ship. It's my position. Da 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 da. I was locked in the damn room, and then we can follow suit behind you.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay.
If you're fine with that. If not, we can keep going forward past this.
We can give it a shot. I will climb up the ladder and head to the door. I'll
Do you wait for everybody else to cram up in this tiny room with you, or do you just go right in?
I'm not gonna go in right away. I'm gonna make some. I'm gonna try to make some noises as if like I just woke up, but I have like a big headache or something. Like someone threw me in here, and then I'll like shake the door a little bit and then exit out into the.
Okay. So you exit from the room, from the storage room, that is, onto the navigation deck of the ship. You can see the sky above you. You can see everything is extremely well illuminated. There's a number of lanterns magically lit that give off an almost like it doesn't have any flickering or firelight or anything of the sort. It is a perfectly even arrangement of light spread throughout the space, illuminating the deck fully. You can see the navigator, the wheel just off to the side of them. No one is actually standing at the wheel, but that doesn't appear to be a thing of concern. There's a couple of other individuals kind of scattered around. It appears to be a team of 5 individuals that are responsible for maintaining the locomotion of the ship in this instance. One of them is like in mid communication with what appears to be a copper pipe that is extending up off of the side. And you hear what sounds faintly like people on the other end of it doing whatever they're doing. And as you open the door and step out, all of these individuals kind of stop and look at you. It's one of those like moments where no one was expecting that door to open. Like, why the fuck did that door open? Moment. And so you kind of catch everyone kind of mid activity, and everyone is just kind of staring at you, and you're staring at them, and they're staring at you, and then there's this long pregnant pause of like, who's gonna talk first? Do you think it would be Drexel?
I think so. Probably.
All right.
I'll stare into each other's eyes and be like, I don't know how I ended up in there. What the fuck is going on this ship?
Okay. In that moment, everyone kind of mouths agape. No one really knows what to do. 4 of the individuals all look at one, to be the navigator of the ship, just based on his rank and attire and everything. It's a fairly young individual in his mid to late 30s that appears to have gone bald early in life. He only has, a little bit of hair on the sides of his head that extends around to the back. And he just kind of shakes his head and looks at you, and he says, Sky Marshal, I'm sorry, sir, you were having dinner with the captain.
It was supposed to be. I don't think I made it all the way. I remember getting my letter, and then I don't remember anything else. And now I woke up in there. Jeez.
Roll a deception check for me, please.
Absolutely.
I'd like to show up and help.
Give me what is your passive insight, Aravan?
It's a 15.
You're not sure if you just show up out of the blue whether or not you'll actually help or hinder.
What if I do use minor illusion and put like an officer uniform on Aravan?
I'm technically kind of in an officer uniform right now.
Oh.
It's just not a red and white officer uniform.
No.
Would you like one?
Yes, I would.
I can do that.
So there's this brief exchange while that first pause of interaction and stuff was happening, and then Drexel uttering some of his wording and such there with the odd lie or two mixed in. And as go ahead and roll a spellcaster ability check for me, Kozy. So it's your charisma ability check plus your proficiency bonus. So I think you're proficient in charisma saving throws, so you could just roll a charisma saving throw and it would be the same thing.
Isolde's just standing in the corner of the storeroom, cursing at the fact that she's wearing a dress, and if the captain could wear pants, I should have brought different clothes.
When you changed your dress, I was like, ooh, I know that's gonna rate.
Yep.
What'd you get, Kozy?
So I rolled the charisma, it says I have 18, then plus 4. Is that the right one? Okay.
Well, yes. So
or was
you
I
have a
supposed to do the
+4,
plus
and
10?
that's okay. The +4 is fine, and your proficiency bonus is +3. So you had a total of 12 from what I can see, which gives you a total of 15, which is more than enough to be able to alter the elements of the cloth, because you're not giving him a whole new uniform. You're just changing the coloration of some of the cloth to be the red and white. So you are able to manipulate your illusory magic enough to recolor his uniform, Ian stepping out wearing this red and white version of your uniform. What does Erevan say to assist Drexel?
He steps out and he goes, sorry, because I know what I would do. He goes, the Sky Marshal asked you a question. For some reason, we were to be attending a dinner and we ended up in a storeroom over here. He needs information now.
Okay, go ahead and roll with advantage, please, Kay.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's not bad.
So, we had left off with Erevan and Drexel confronting the navigator crew of the ship and demanding information, stretching or enforcing, I guess I should say, the Sky Marshal's authority that Drexel has. There is a bit of a babbling moment of the navigator being like, type of thing. Erevan kind of leaning over Drexel's shoulder, glaring at the navigator, while he just like nods and like snaps his fingers at one of the crew members next to him and orders him to go and find the captain.
No, that's that won't be necessary. I do apologize about the aggressive nature of our entrance. We would just prefer to get our two guests back to their room.
Yeah, as you say that, there's a bit of confusion for a moment, as he's trying to formulate in his mind what it meant when Drexel said he had been knocked out in the storage room adjacent, this tiny room. And then Erevan emerges, and now there's two more guests to emerge too. And he kind of tries to look past you a little bit. Which, yeah, I'm assuming you kind of try to block. Do Isolde and Lady Varian make their way up the ladder? Because you can hear this.
I'm up the ladder, but I think, is Rebus around? I think I'm like, Rebus.
If you're up the ladder, no, you don't know where Rebus is in this moment.
I think I called out like, Rebus.
Well, here's a question. Do you have a telepathic bond with Rebus? I don't know how the homunculus thing works in Artificer. It's been a long time since I looked at it. In the meantime, while you look that up, is Lady Varian coming up or not?
Lady Varian was behind Isolde, but...
Okay, so as Isolde is like, you guys are both up in the room, Isolde is like looking over down the ladder, yelling out for Rebus. Lady Varian just heard what she heard in regards to the two companions joining to be escorted back. What does Lady Varian do?
I start climbing down the ladder. Pleased to make your acquaintance.
Oh, no. You were already up the ladder. You would have to just walk through the door. Are you trying to please make your acquaintance to the navigator people? Is that what your intention was? Because you were already up the ladder. Isolde had gone up the ladder. You were basically standing over top of her as she was looking back down, trying to find her mechanical cat.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Then I go through the door and I...
Yeah,
you
gotcha.
know...
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, Lady Varian steps into the deck, and yes, starts introducing herself. They of course recognize a noblewoman. There's a moment of feigned acknowledgement of her noble status and the like. People that aren't necessarily accustomed to having to do such things, so they look awkward in doing it and such. Perhaps Varian feels insulted by such things, Deb, was there any? Do you have any kind of ability to communicate with?
I don't know.
Rebus?
No, I don't.
Okay. Roll a d20 for me.
Okay.
It's just incessant yelling like any pet owner to their pet.
It's like, it's a stage whisper. She's not, oh god, it's a 2.
Not a stage whisper.
No. It is a stage whisper. You're doing the pss, 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 Rebus, pss, 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 and Rebus cannot be found.
Oh my goodness.
And she'll just like worry about it later and be like, okay, I guess we're doing this now.
So yeah, Isolde steps into the deck, sans Rebus. The 4 of you are gathered there. There's this notion that the technically the navigator doesn't have the authority here to do anything contrary to what the Sky Marshal wants. So
I'll say, okay, I know you're busy. Just get back to work. I'll figure it out. I'll start the investigation myself. Everyone, file out of here.
There's this moment
You heard the
of
Sky
like
Marshal.
two of the crew members look at each other and they're like, investigation. And yeah, you are able to escort onto the upper deck of the ship. You have to flash your authority a couple more times in order. I'm assuming you're headed back towards the quarterdeck where your quarters are, right? I've got one nod. Drexel is leading the way here.
As soon as we're like past a couple of places, I think Isolde's gonna step into his path and be like, okay, you're out of the locked room. Now what, genius?
Yeah, we did ruin my reputation for this, so I just want to...
We didn't ruin your reputation. You used your rank in the proper form. It's okay. Here we go.
I did throw my weight around. That is par for the course.
And how do you two know each other?
That's a story for another time.
We're best friends from birth, just like you and Isolde.
We're best friends
amazing.
from birth.
Erevan looks decades younger than Drexel.
Since birth.
So, Drexel, in the interest of time, I'm going to ask, where are you guys going?
I want to find some low-ranking goons who might have an idea of what's going on, or I don't know. Or we could, we could just go back to our quarters. Absolutely, please.
I want to go in the direction of where Gideon's room was. I don't want to approach the room, but I want to go to that area to see what activity is stirring around that.
Yeah, okay, well, you don't know specifically which room is his, but you do know, unless he had some kind of extra special accommodation, his room would have been in the quarterdeck. So the lot of you start making your way through the decks. Several of you have fairly good passive insights. No one's alerted. There's not like people running around patting their head like the ship's on fire. All of the passengers that you see are just like casually going about their business. You see handfuls of people like carousing and drinking. Crew members are all acting just as they did before you went in for your dinner. As far as you can tell, no one else other than the 4 of you at this moment know what has transpired. And even you don't know exactly what's transpired, but certainly no one else has been told somebody's been murdered here, right? So you make your way down through the passageways until you reach the quarterdeck. When you reach the quarterdeck, the air has an intensity to it. There's a little bit more here than perhaps was above decks. You think that in this moment it's possible that there just aren't that many people that are down in the quarterdeck. It's still fairly early in the evening. You're barely past dinner time at this point, and certainly a crew or a passenger manifest such as this, it's going to be late into the evening type hours before people actually turn in for said evening. And so you start navigating the halls of the quarterdeck, and as you are approaching one particular hall that leads to one of your chambers, you notice that there is an officer posted. Someone standing there, notably on guard, as it were. And he appears to be standing at the entranceway to one of the halls that leads down the passenger deck. Or leads further down the quarterdeck, rather, to additional passenger quarters. Drexel, you would be able to know very clearly based on your training that this is someone posted that had not been posted before. He would only be posted there for a reason and under the orders of someone of higher authority than him. It's someone standing guard.
Mhm.
You wish to use your authority as previously done and
Authority.
make your way forward? Or do you wish to try to circumvent?
Any of our rooms aren't past him.
One of
Are
your
they?
rooms are past him.
Who?
Everybody roll a d20. Whoever rolls highest, that's the room.
15.
It ain't mine.
I'm guessing it's Aravin's. What'd you get, Kozy?
How do I roll a d20?
Indian, if you're doing it, you could roll physical dice if you want, but Indian to Beyond, just the bottom left corner of the screen, there's a little d20 icon. You can click that, and that's custom roll. The very first die at the top is a d20. You can click on that, and then you can click roll. What'd you get, Ian?
17.
13.
All right.
All right.
Aravin's room is down that hall. Conveniently, it seems like Aravin must have had a room close to Gideon Fairborn's.
What? Why are you all looking at me like this?
Once again, what's the plan, genius? You told me that we would get out of the room so that I could impress the captain.
Well, yet now we create a plan.
Great.
And
What's the plan?
That's what I'm... Oh, jeez.
Commander, you got a plan? I don't know. This shit's crazy.
My plan was
I've
to
been-
sit and wait for the captain to come back.
Yes, that was a good
This is
plan.
terrible. Is it okay? I cast message to the commander, and the message is I need a distraction.
Oh, easy.
As you cast that message spell, you hear a voice from the direction of where the soldier, the sailor rather, is posted. You hear the voice of the captain, and you hear her call out, "Well, that's interesting." And you turn, and all four of you kind of look at her as she is looking directly at all of you.
Shit.
Her arms are crossed. She has a serious and stern look about her face.
Isolde's gonna step behind Aravan.
Isolde just disappears behind Erebin because he's so much bigger than she is.
Captain, with all due respect, you wouldn't expect people of our caliber to be comfortable with being in a locked room.
Generally speaking, I expect those on my ship to follow my orders. But luckily
And
for you,
are
in this
those-
circumstance, there is extenuation to be considered.
What was that? Extenuating circumstances?
Please stop.
Oh, that was brilliant. I could just see Isolde like poking her head out to the side and looking up
Absolutely.
at Aravin's face, and Aravin just looking down. So the captain marches over to the lot of you, fairly directly to Drexel, and standing in front of Drexel, looking up because she is shorter than him. She still has her arms folded, and she says, "Sky Marshal, there is something that you need to investigate. And given the fact that, other than myself and the 3 others of your cadre present, everyone on the ship is now a suspect. Please come with me." And she turns and starts walking back down the hall. The rest of you kind of fall in behind her, and as you make your way down the hall, you can see that there's 2 other sailors kind of posted in front of various crew quarters. You can hear the muffled sounds of some hoity-toity individual behind each of them complaining about being locked in their quarters at the moment. As you make your way down, you can see further down, across the hall from Aravin's quarters, an open door, a couple of individuals standing guard posts present. The captain leads you into the room. As you enter this dimly lit cabin, the air is heavy with an ominous sense about it. The scene before you is stark and chilling as you see the lifeless body of Gideon Fairborn, the esteemed chair advisor to the council houses, lying in a crumpled heap upon the floor. His once impeccable suit is heavily marred by a dark, spreading stain, a stark contrast to the pristine surroundings in which his body now lays. His eyes are open, and he stares blankly up at the ceiling. His expression is frozen in a mix of surprise and pain, and you see a deep, jagged wound slashes across his chest, the edge rough and brutal, as if inflicted by a weapon sharp and yet unrefined or maligned to cause the maximum amount of torment at the death in which it inflicts. The crimson of his blood has seeped into the lush carpet, forming a grotesque aura about his body. The room shows no signs of a struggle, other than a single toppled chair adjacent to the writing table, adjacent the door. As you look around, you can see what appears to be a heavy bookend with the outstretched hand of Gideon laying towards it, as if perhaps he had been holding it or was reaching for it in his final death-filled moments. Despite that chaos, you can see certain details that are meticulously arranged around the room. There is a strange, intricate symbol drawn in blood near the body. Its design is not familiar to any of you, but it is most unsettling. And on the desk, there is a half-filled glass of wine sitting undisturbed, its contents untouched by whatever violence unfolded mere feet away from it. You can feel reverberating through your feet the gentle hum of the airship and the distant murmur of passengers in the decks above. giving an almost surreal contrast of normalcy everywhere outside of this room. Fairborn's demise is not just tragedy, it's a statement. It is a gruesome punctuation to a life steeped in political intrigue and power. And in these moments of observance, as you take in the sight of this powerful man laying in a heap of blood at your feet, that's where we're going to call it tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you will join us next week as our intrepid lot of investigators, ostensibly innocent of the crime of murdering one of the most powerful individuals in all of the country, are tasked with investigating said death. Hopefully next week we shall find out who actually did it. And until then, we shall leave off with all of these fine individuals, these lovely people bringing amazing amounts of roleplay to the virtual table tonight, with them getting an opportunity to tell us about themselves and the wonderful things that they're getting up to on the internet. We will reverse our order that we've been going in, and we will start with the illustrious debut to the world of Ysterra. Kozy, thank you so much for taking part. You've been a wonderful addition to this, and I am happy that we get to do this again next week. Why don't you do us all a favor and tell these lovely people where they can find you?
Hi, lovely people. You can find me at twitch.tv/cozybean. I'm a full-time streamer, and I'm so honored to be here, and this is my first time in Ysterra, and I'm having a blast with everyone. This is so much fun. Thank you for letting me be a part of it, and thanks everyone who came to support us and watch us and have a good time with us.
Awesome. And you can find Kozy in other places too. Kozy has her own Twitch channel. You can check out twitch.tv/cozybean and get up to see what other awesome things Kozy's getting up to, because you've got other stuff that you're doing too on perhaps this channel and more in the future. I think we'll find out. Moving right along, the one, the only, the Caden Cosmos here, trying to keep the chaos to a minimum and probably failing a little bit in that regard, but that's to be expected when you've got a crew such as this. Kay, what are you up to?
Hi, I'm not up to too much right now. I'm gonna be here again next week, same bat time, same bat channel. I have been seen on other places like Guild Superior and on the Bleak Seasons channel. I'm doing free online trivia every 2 weeks on Saturdays and Mondays. You can look at that at Patreon at Fat Cat Trivia. But yeah, no, I'm just thrilled to be here. It's great to play with Deb again. Great to meet you, Kozy, and great to play with Ian for the first time. I've heard great things, so just happy to be here. Thank you.
And speaking of the man that lives up to the hype, my boy, my oos, my bro, Ian, what do you got going on, sir?
Yo, oh man, always happy to jump into another Ysterra story, and of course, as long as Miko will have me, I will be here. So next week's gonna be hype. Hey, I'm Ian, or your boy Big on all social media. If you want to know what I'm doing, you can follow me on Twitter. Slowing down for the holiday season, but the start of the year is gonna have a lot of amazing things. So make sure you follow that on my Twitter, as well as my Instagram. I'm gonna be posting a lot more stuff on there as well. So yeah, that's basically it right now.
Awesome, thank you, sir. And someone who couldn't save us from ourselves tonight.
I could not.
Deb.
Hi, it's me. I'm Deb. I was playing Isolde Pharaoh, who is spicy. She's very fun. So what a blast to play here. Miko said that he was worried about giving me a cat familiar homunculus because it felt on the nose, but you saw my cat's butthole on stream, so you're welcome. I am currently in an arc of Lanat Eterna over on that channel. The next episode comes out on Friday, I believe. We had to pre-record because of holiday schedules, but it's pretty good. So if you haven't gone over to check that, it's a grimdark setting. It's really fun. And then I'll be back here next Wednesday for round 2 of this chaos.
Whatever this is.
Yeah, whatever this is.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I have been Miko, your humble host and game master for the evening, otherwise known as the Okayest GM. You can find me on all the socials at the_Okayest_GM, or just take out the underscores where places are weird and don't allow those sorts of things. If you want to learn more about this crazy world that I have been working on for a while, you can check that out at Ysterra.theokayestgm.com. And yeah, we'll be back next week to tell part 2 of this adventure. We'll be back in a few weeks to tell another story, another 2-part adventure that's going to be a sort of holiday heist type adventure. Looking forward to that one just as much as I am next week. And yeah, and by then I might have some news to share about upcoming awesomeness in the new year. We shall see in a few weeks. And until then, as always, thank you so much, Jeremy, the proprietor of Wanderer's Haven. You can find him at WH Pubs on the socials. He has been gracious in allowing me to continue to tell these awesome tales of Ysterra with amazing people like all of who you see before you over here on this channel, and I am eternally grateful to him for that honor and privilege. Thank you so much. We are going to raid over to someone tonight. Dark Tales. Dark Tales is running awesome. I love those guys. They tell some amazing stories themselves. You should definitely check them out, and when you get to their channel, let them know where you came from. And I hope to see all of you again very, very soon. Happy holidays, everyone, and I'll see you next week. Bye.